everyone, Mimsy here. Let me show you how I made these shutters for my kitchen window with a pair of bifold closet doors. So right now I've just got a piece of insulation stuck in there to keep the cat from coming through the window because she wants to continually help me sew on my sewing machine and stick her paw under the presser foot, which is obviously very dangerous. And I'll show you the kitchen side. And this is the side inside of my kitchen. So I'm gonna have the shutters open up like into my sewing room because there's no space here. So these are the bifold closet doors that I bought from Habitat, and they were $22 a piece. They're 9 inches each. My opening is 36 inches, so they fit perfectly within the opening. And when I first went to Habitat looking for these and realized that they were $22 a piece, that I was gonna have to pay $44 for this project, I left them. I did not buy the doors because I was like, that's too much. But then I looked on Home Depot and priced them retail, and it would have been like $80. So I went back to Habitat to buy them because half price is still a very good discount, and they didn't have 9 inches anymore. As a matter of fact, when I walked up, there was a man looking at the exact set of doors that I had originally picked out, and he went and bought one side. He didn't even buy both the doors, he bought one side. And so I needed 2 matching 9-inch sets with matching, like, you know, the matching inset. And so I actually had to go back for like 3 weeks before these turned up. Okay, so the first thing I've got to do is take these hinges off and move them up because I'm going to be cutting the door right about here. Okay, now I'm going to go measure again the opening and make sure I cut these the right height. So, to measure, I'll be right back to cut. Okay, so my opening is 36. It's actually 36 and a half, so I'm going to do it a ½ inch shorter because I just want to make sure that there's a little bit of space, a little bit of wiggle room. Okay, so after measuring, it's 36 inches. I realized I have to use the bottom half of the door in order for this to work, because with the top 2 panels here, this is 41 inches. So obviously I'm not going to cut this off in the middle of one of these panels. So I'm going to use the bottom half of the door. And since this is shorter than this, I will make this the top. So I'm just going to draw an arrow because I am going to paint these, obviously, so I'll draw an arrow so I know this is up. And I'm gonna have to change those hinges I just put in, but I'll go ahead and cut first. Alright, so I'm gonna make sure that these are lined up here because this is gonna be the bottom. Okay, we're all good. Super easy cut because these are hollow, you know. See? And this is going to be the top. I may or may not even put anything in there. You can go ahead and rip down a 1x2 and install that in there if you need something. But I probably won't even do that. I guess dust will accumulate in there, but it'll be almost up against the ceiling. I don't see any reason to put anything in there. Perfect. I'll clean them off and hang them. You know, the only thing that would be better is if they were paneled on both sides. You know, paneled here and here. Because this is the side that's going to be in my kitchen. So this is the kind of hinge I bought so that it will open completely flat and flush. See? So I had to actually attach my hinges to the face of the cabinet door or the closet door in order so that they would fold completely flat against each side of the window opening. So at first I wasn't real happy about having the hinge like that, but that's what I bought, and so that's what I did. And once they are painted, you can't even see them, so it's not a big deal. So once I got the hinges on both sides, then I went ahead and dry fit them again. And then I used my my speed square to lift them up a bit, so there was a little bit of space underneath the bottom of the doors. And then I went ahead and installed them. I put the screws in on both sides, and then I realized that with all the hinges, they were actually not an exact fit. So I have to move these hinges because I installed them too far above the door. I've got to install it so that this part here is level or even with this. So I'm going to move that hinge all the way down because there's just too much space between the hinge and the wall. So I started by moving those hinges in a bit to see if that would accommodate the doors and give me the space that I needed for them to close all the way. And as it turns out, it did not. So my doors, when I got them back up there with the hinge moved over, the doors still were not a perfect fit. They didn't close all the way. So I had to mark the overlap. So I just took my pencil and marked the overlap, took them back down, and had to cut them shorter. So after I got my doors hung, I was about a ½ inch to an inch too wide. My doors wouldn't shut evenly. There was a little bit of overlap in the center. So I decided to take off a little bit on the center of the two doors, where the two doors meet, because there is this much on the front edge. So I took off a half on here because I wanted that to have a solid, you know, if I took off too much, then it would have cut this whole thing off when we would have just had an opening here. Then I would have had to put a new piece of wood in there. So I took them back down and then cut off a ½ inch there, and I'm going to cut off a ½ inch here, and then the doors should close right together. And what I did is I overlapped the doors and then drew a line where they overlap, so kind of like scribing between the two doors, because the top needed a wider cut, the bottom was a smaller overlap, you know what I mean? So anyway, I'm going to cut the other side of this door and then bring them back in and hang them back up, see if they fit, and then I will clean up the whole place and paint. That's it. It's that simple and very effective. Thanks for watching, you guys. See you next time.